Happy Wright Brothers Day. On this date in 1903, Wilbur and Orville took turns piloting the first mechanical airplane in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, and the skies have not been the same since. Tonight, there is no end in sight to the drone mystery that began in New Jersey and spread across the country in less than a month. The government says there's nothing mysterious or hostile about them. In fact, President Biden, he has now spoken out for the first time about the drones. He said, quote, "We are following this closely, but so far no sense of danger." The truth is nobody else is convinced, and conspiracy theories are abound. A New Jersey mayor today claimed that radioactive material used for medical equipment was lost in transit 2 weeks ago, and the drone sightings could actually be linked to that, or most likely not. To understand what actually is in the sky above us on any given day or night, and there's a lot of stuff up there. I turn now to Will Austin, chief pilot for Warren Unmanned Aircraft Systems and an expert on drones. Dr. Austin, it's nice to see you. First of all, I'm curious, what is your impression of this big phenomena? All these people for the last couple of weeks filming and seeing these strange lights and drones in the sky. What do you think's behind it?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm not surprised. I expected this to come when I got into the drones about 9 years ago. Maybe not to this extent, but I definitely expected it. I personally looked at the video, and I have seen mainly airplanes misidentified as drones most of the time, and that's not uncommon when we're looking up at the sky at night. What I think we can say with some certainty is if you're close to an airport, we have a lot of air traffic controllers there who are controlling that sky, and they know what's up there because they get reports not only from radar but also from the pilots. So I think the overwhelming evidence is right now it's misidentification. When we look at the federal tracking that went over the weekend, we only had 12 drones up on Saturday and 1 drone up on Sunday. So I think we can say that, but that will never change people's perception. When I looked at the sky and I looked at the video, I saw airplanes. But when dear friends, close people to me looked up, including my own wife, and saw it, she saw drones. And that's not going to change. And I think some of this fear comes from our apprehension about this new technology, but also from the fact that I think we've realized our adversaries are way ahead of us in this technology. We have not invested in manufacturing. We have not invested in development. We have not invested in safety and security in terms of our civil infrastructure to identify these. And we have not invested at all in the training.
Well, most of the drones that we can buy at the store, they come from China, right? Aren't they all made pretty much in China?
I would say the vast majority of the under 55-pound drones that you're seeing that probably you bought off Amazon came from China. Probably the majority came from a company called DJI, which has very close personal relation to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, it's alarming. So you mentioned, I mean, you believe most of what people are seeing are planes. Is there anything else out there? I mean, I know some people have talked about Starlink satellites. What else is out there that people could be misidentifying?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people in New Jersey, especially in clear nights, because we had a lot of them that have misidentified Jupiter as a drone. There are drones, though. I mean, people are putting up drones. While I was waiting here, a dear friend, sent me pictures. It was definitely 3 drones. They were small drones. I think we're seeing a lot more teenagers doing this. But I think what we want to do is, instead of being afraid, we need to remember who we were once. Let's be fearless at this point, and let's say, you know what? We know other people are ahead of us. Let's take this as our Sputnik moment. Let's put science and math back to the forefront of our education. Let's put robotics in our schools. Let's prepare our civil defense against these machines. And let's remember who we are and what we're capable of. Because as I often tell the students, these machines are here to stay. If we said, let's ban all drones in the United States, that won't stop our adversaries. They are moving far ahead in this. So we have to embrace this, and we have to become masters of the machines before the machines master us.
Yeah, that's a good point. Real quick, one thing I think of, though, is even though obviously a lot of people are misidentifying things and they maybe don't look up that much, and now they're seeing a plane and think it's a drone, but I do have some good friends, Dr. Austin, who are smart. And they really believe that they have seen something strange with these drones, the way that they were flying the formation, especially over New Jersey. I mean, could it be the case that most of what people are seeing are planes, but there's still something shady going on in some of the cases?
I mean, that's the problem we have right now without the infrastructure. This will end with mystery in the end, unless something falls out of the sky. We will probably never know. I suspect these will start to disappear, these sightings, after Christmas. A little bit right after Christmas, it'll probably rise up when kids got drones for Christmas. Maybe you want to hold that drone off till the spring if you're going to give it to your child. But I think we're going to see this. So I think what we have to say is, we're never going to know, but we can know the future. We can control the future. We can do what my old teacher, Frank Garoof, he said when I was in high school at St. Augustine outside Atlantic City. He said, Will, don't ever let anything without a brain outsmart you.
Yeah.
So let's become smarter than everybody else. Let's become smarter than our adversaries, and let's take it our passion for the country back, and let's remember who we are and what we're capable of.
Yeah, we don't want to try to outsmart us. Dr. Austin, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.